Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another webinar from A Place in the Sun as part of our month-long digital event aimed at everybody who's interested in buying an overseas property. So today's session is a little bit different to anything we've done so far. We are fortunate enough to be able to shoot on over to the production offices of Freeform Productions and speak directly to people involved in making the iconic TV series A Place in the Sun. So good afternoon, Lydia and Siobhan.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you both?
Good, thank you.
Bit hot on this beach. We need some sun cream. Could you lend us any, Andy?
It looks very glitzy and glam and TV. Where are you?
I don't think you believe us. We're actually in our offices in Chorleywood.
Chorleywood, where's that?
So we are in Hertfordshire, just outside the M25.
Yep. Near Watford.
Near Watford, right, yes. Okay, so with the wonders of TV production, you've dropped in that beautiful backdrop.
Absolutely. Look, we've got to pull in some favours. We're going to, this is our work view every day, I wish. Right,
so let's speak a little bit about the pair of you to start with and your respective roles on the programme and what you do. And if people have questions for you, you'll see a Q&A icon at the top or bottom of your screen, depending on device. Do fire over your questions and I'll put them on your behalf. Anything you want to know within reason about A Place in the Sun TV show, its making, its history, and how they go about casting for the series. So Siobhan, what do you get up to on the programme?
Well, I've been here for almost 3 years now, and my title is the senior series producer, but I think that's just because I'm old, probably. But I would run the show on a day-to-day basis. So, we have 8 teams filming at the minute, and we have a big bunch. There's about 75 people currently working on the show, from research, casting, production, logistics, booking all the flights, and then on location, and then in the edit and delivering the show to Channel 4. So big team, and I keep it going on a day-to-day basis.
And there's that volume of people involved at the moment. Is that typical, or is it due to what's going on in the world, or where are you at?
That's normal, actually. That is normal. We make 120 shows a year, and we film probably... Oh, we've lost you. If you can still see us, Andy.
Yeah, we can still see you, yeah.
Great, we've lost a picture. I'll keep talking till someone tells me to stop. We have 120 shows to make every year. We film about 47, 48 weeks of the year. And literally as soon as the shows are filmed, they then come back here, then they go into post-production, and then we finish them all off. So it's pretty constant. I think there's only maybe 4 weeks in the year when we don't have teams out around Europe or the world.
Right. Lydia, it sounds like Siobhan pretty much does everything. What's left for you to do?
She certainly does. Not much, actually. So I'm the deputy series producer, so we work very closely alongside each other. I used to direct on the show, and then I've come into the office. So I'm no longer on location. I'm in the office now. And I actually look after the casting of the show. So I look after a team of 4 researchers who filter through the inbox and pick out some great applications and house hunters and kind of get them through the casting process onto the show. So yeah, that's kind of my day to day. But as well as that, I, very similar to Siobhan, look after a team on the road, team on filming, team doing their recce week, researchers in the office as well. So yeah, we're sort of we kind of manage the day to day across the show.
And the directing responsibilities you had then, that was actually out filming, directing individual episodes?
So I actually joined in 2017 as a producer-director. And yeah, I was basically, how we do it is the teams go out for 6 weeks at a time. And in that 6 weeks, they'll film 3 shows, and they do a week of research on location and then a week shoot. So I did that for about a year, travelling in Spain. I did Barbados show, which was very lovely, filmed in France, so all over, yeah. So I got that kind of experience before then joining the team in the office.
Okay, and just Siobhan, give us a bit more detail on that schedule then. What does that look like? You referred to a 2-week time frame per episode? Who's out during what period doing what sort of activity?
Well, I wonder, should we start from the beginning when we get an application? Would that work? Would you want
Sure,
to?
yeah, let's do that.
You know, if people apply to be on the show, we get a wonderful mailbag every day, whether people literally, you know, they see the form on your website, either comes in the post or it comes digitally to us. Lydia and her team will go through those applications. We obviously pick the ones that we think are feasible and are in countries we're planning to go to. If somebody wants Greenland at the minute, we're not planning on going to Greenland, for example, so not yet. But yeah, so it's a bit of a process of matching up great applications with areas we want to go to. And then there's a bit of a casting selection process that goes on, which Lydia can talk a little bit more about. And then we get to location, and we have a researcher for a week who thoroughly checks out every house in the area that might suit our house hunters. That's for a full week. Then we have another week of 2 people on the ground checking out the very best of those houses. And then we have a 3rd week of filming where our house hunters will fly out on the Sunday, and then we film Monday to Friday with our house hunters and our presenter. And we distilled hundreds of houses down to maybe 15, down to the 5 that you see on the show. So it's quite a comprehensive process, you know. And actually, I think I worked out that for each show, there's probably been 18 days research on houses gone into it. So we actually can offer quite a specialist house hunting service, and I guess that's why the show is doing so well, thankfully.
And that casting process, then, Lydia, we're getting lots of questions in, which we will come on to. But what does that look like? How do people get any kind of idea of whether they may be suitable or not?
So basically how it works is we have an inbox here. We have the House Hunters inbox, the applications inbox, we call it. And people can apply. There's a link on your website of how to apply. Anybody can apply, fill out an application form and send it in to us. And on a daily basis, my researchers in the office here will sift through that and pick out, do a daily bulletin of what's come in the inbox overnight. And as Siobhan mentioned, we cast for the show for different areas throughout the year. So at the moment we're casting for Spain, we're casting in Italy, and we're casting for Cyprus, Caribbean. So what we'll do is, once that update has come in from one of the researchers who's looked through the inbox, we'll pick out any new ones for, say, great, new Spain applications come in, give them a ring, but also we'll look back through that inbox. We go back to 2017 sometimes to see if there's any we've missed and pick out applications that we think, oh, that might be good because we're in Malaga. This one might be good because we're in Torrevieja. And try our best to sift through them. Obviously, we can't get back to everyone. We get hundreds and hundreds of applications in, sometimes for areas we're not filming in. So it's just a case that, unfortunately, we won't get back in touch with those people because we're not looking in that area. But yeah, we pick an application out, and then you'd get a call from someone in the office to go through your application in a little more detail. After that, it's a sort of a research chat that lasts about half an hour. Our researchers will go off and do what we call a feasibility check to check that what's being asked for is actually feasible. If it's £100,000 and they want a 4-bed villa in Marbella, it's probably not feasible. Whereas, 2-bed apartment Torrevieja probably is feasible. So our researchers here check that before we progress with anybody. If it's feasible, then we'll ask you to do a screen test with us. And that's where, you're really selling yourselves to us. Why should we pick you for the show? You've got to show that you're serious, that, you've been looking for this for a while or whatever. It's the first time we will see you as the producers on the show, and we will get a sense of, your personalities and how much you want this and where you want to go and how serious you are and that kind of stuff. So up to the screen test point, that's how it works. And then, once the screen test is signed off by ourselves, by our execs, then we'll talk to you about, dates for filming and things like that.
I know you regularly do screen tests at our Place in the Sun live exhibitions. How are you currently doing them? Is there another channel by which you do them at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the moment we're doing most of our screen tests over Zoom or over Skype.
Okay.
So very much like this, it will just be a sit-down chat for half an hour to an hour with one of our researchers. We're just going through, where you're looking, how much you've got, why you want it, all the things we've just sort of mentioned, really. And we want to get a sense of, why you love the place you've chosen, and why you want to be on the show, and how we can help you as well. What you're expecting of us to do, and why you want our help.
Mandy Bagot is indicating some curiosity about people's finances. She says, what sort of checks do you actually do to make sure they've got the money they say they have?
A variety. Obviously, we trust people, so we don't want bank account details and things like that. We will, a variety of, people want to buy houses from a variety of different funding sources. It could be an inheritance. It could be they've sold their house. It could be that the house is on the market. It could be it's a couple who are selling, maybe only got together later in life. They've got two houses. They're selling one of them. So we find out. We ask, where are the funds coming from? For example, if it's their house on the market, we'd like to see a link to that, the estate agents. And actually, that's really useful because then you get to nosy in their house, so you have an idea about the style that they might like for the next house. So that's always good. But we don't go into personal finance details. But there's a lot of there's a few stages to go through, and obviously people will if they get to being selected, they will sign a contract with us saying that they are bona fide house hunters and that they are in a position to buy. I think it's really important that I love working on this show and I love watching the show, and the best shows to watch are when people put in an offer at the end and it's accepted. That's the best ending. So we want to make sure we have genuine house hunters, that they really are in a position to buy. And hopefully very few people get through that maybe have been a bit disingenuous. Not in my time. So we have, it has to be a genuine process throughout. And as I say, we want the best ending to the show, which is an offer being accepted. And, we're filming at the minute, and at the minute we're getting over 60% sales. Now, for us, as making the programme, there's no financial benefit in that whatsoever. But I know over 60% of the shows currently being made will have such a lovely, happy ending. You really root for the people when you're watching the show. So we really...
Absolutely. That's remarkable. I know Jasmine and Johnny in particular have this sort of running battle on their respective hit rates and who's more successful in selling a property. They really do get caught up in all of that. I mean, they're making dreams come true, aren't they?
We literally are. And the letters we get in and the emails from so many house hunters, not only after filming when they've had their offer accepted, we'll get photos and videos. Look, we've just got the keys, or we've just had our first night in our new house. It's really quite special, I think, for us to be part of something where you're making such a wonderful difference to people's lives. So it's lovely. It's a nice feel good. There's always a lovely, warm, fuzzy feel good feeling at the end when you get that sort of feedback.
John Pritchard specifically asks about going on location then in Spain. He said, when will it be possible to visit Spain? Well, it is possible. I guess you just have to make yourself available for the quarantine restrictions when you come back. Is that pretty much the story?
Absolutely. We're going to be back in Spain hopefully in the next couple of weeks. We're casting now.
Researching now.
Yeah, that's true. We are researching now for our first Spain show. And we're hoping to be filming there up until Christmas. But what we ask is that if people are wanting to buy in Spain, that they are happy to quarantine on return. Obviously, at the moment, that's in place. For us, we have insurance that will cover us to film in Spain. And we have very strict protocols as well that Freeform have signed off by Channel 4. So yeah, we're really excited actually to be going back to Spain. It is the bulk of where we film. Most of our shows are there, and we've obviously not been able to be there over the last few months, but we're really hoping that in the next couple of weeks we will be back there. So we are welcoming the Spain application.
Yes.
And how far in advance should somebody apply? Jim McGeary is saying we're not thinking of buying until 2022. When would you suggest that we apply? I mean, I guess the vagaries of commissioning and all of that is very hard to say, but that's a little bit too far off for now, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. As I was sort of alluding to earlier, we get so many applications in the inbox. So what I'd always say is apply near the time when you're looking to buy. In Spain, we film there most of the year usually. So get in touch nearer the time, when you've got the money in place, and you're ready to go. It's absolutely fine to get in touch a little bit ahead of when you're wanting to go. As I say, we cast all year round, we film all year round. And let us know, but certainly 2022 is probably a bit far off. We're probably not looking at casting for that just yet.
But actually, sorry, but just to add that every application is obviously logged in our database.
Yeah.
So, for example, at the minute, we are actively casting for the Caribbean. And actually, we are going through our database, so applications that have come in from 2017 and 2018 that we haven't followed up. We're just reaching out to people going, are you still interested? As well as the more recent ones. So the application won't be wasted. It will be there, but you probably won't get a call the week we get it either.
Okay, that should answer Rhys Davies's question, asking how long it typically takes to find out. Well, the truth is, if you need somebody for a particular destination and they applied a couple of years ago, they could get a call out of the blue. But he also asks about being notified if you're not successful. That's one thing you don't do it simply because of the volume of inquiries.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's just kind of impossible to get back to every single application. But certainly, if you've had a phone call with one of the researchers here, we will let you know if we're not going to progress with your application. And that could be for a number of reasons. It could be that, unfortunately, we've got too many shows in that same area that you're wanting at the time, or it's a very similar budget to another show we've got in that area, or we're not filming there at the moment, or things have changed. So if you've had a phone call from one of us, we will let you know. Unfortunately, we're not going to progress with you at this time, but I think it's impossible for us to be able to get back to every single application that comes into the inbox. But yeah, talking about sort of applying in advance and how long it takes, it could actually be the opposite of that. It could be, you apply on Monday, you get a call from us on the Tuesday, and you're doing a screen test by the Wednesday, just because it's worked out that we might be looking in that area and we happen to see your application come in, and that's perfect because we're in that exact area right now casting for it. So it works both ways.
And there's a number of people taking the opportunity to get some insider info. A couple of questions. How do we nail a screen test? What are you looking for?
Well, I think with screen tests, we want to see your personalities. We want to see, the passion for the area. We want to see, why now for you. We want to see that you're serious, that you really are serious about buying. And I think for us, it's always good if you've done a bit of research yourself. We are experts in certain areas, and we're experts in making the show. But we can't decide on an area for somebody, or you can't come to us and say, I like the whole coast of the south of Spain. Well, you've got to have done a bit of your research yourself and kind of convince us that you want to buy there, because the last thing we want is to go through the casting process with a couple and then fly them out to an area and they say, oh, this isn't what we thought it was going to be, or oh no, this isn't actually where we want. So that never happens, because we do a lot of research here. But it's convincing us that you're really serious about it, and that you've got a real strong reason and draw to an area. And we sometimes actually, it's just reminded me, we do get applications sometimes that say, I'm interested in France and Spain and Greece and Cyprus, and you sort of think, well, that's great, brilliant, but maybe narrow it down a little bit and come back to us with a clear idea of, where you're wanting.
Occasionally I see comments on social media from people who've watched an episode of the TV show and somebody hasn't bought, and there's sort of criticism of, were they serious? But the truth is, there's an awful lot of work and preparation has gone on to qualify those people as serious buyers. It just hasn't happened to work out in that particular week.
Yeah, and sometimes, people will love the area but realise actually, for the house they want, they need to increase their budget.
Yeah.
Or they will realise actually this isn't, the area isn't really for us. Often as well, we get people who've never been to the area. I'm working on a show at the minute. I won't give away any names, but a lovely couple who want to buy a house in and around Compita in the Axarquia in southern Spain, and they've never been. And I know people are critical, going, well, how can you consider that? But I'd say probably maybe a quarter of our applications are from people who've not been to an area, but they've watched the show, they've done the research, they've talked to people, they may be on expat forum groups or whatever, so they have a good sense of the area, they've done the research. And a lot of those people, we find houses for them. So it's surprising. Just because someone's never been somewhere doesn't mean they won't buy. We work hard at selling the area for them and finding the right house.
A number of people, 3 people actually, have said, why is it always couples? Why can't I go on as a single person? It's not actually true that they're couples, is it?
Well, everyone's not they're not in a relationship, whether it's, boyfriends, girlfriends, partners. We have mothers and sons, we have best friends. I suppose wearing my television producer hat, it's an hour of television we're making. And sometimes it's tricky for just one person house hunting to talk it through just with the presenter. It helps to have somebody with them. So the format of the show would be somebody with their friend or their partner or a sibling or relative. It's just easier to follow their journey and what they're thinking when they've somebody just to sort of bounce off. Usually there's never a problem finding somebody to want to go with someone on a house hunting trip. We've never run out of people just yet, or not yet anyhow.
One thing we do always ask though is, say for example you are a couple, husband and wife or whatever, and your partner can't actually make the filming, but they are part of buying the house with you. We're a bit reluctant with that, because we always want you to be able to put in an offer if you find your dream home at the end of the shoot week. And if your partner who you're buying with isn't there, we worry that it's going to get to the end of the shoot and you're going to say, oh, I really love it, but I really need so and so to be here. I really thought I could make this decision with mum or daughter or son or friend, but actually I realised I can't. We really try and avoid that where possible. So we always ask that whoever's involved in the buying process, even if they don't want to be on camera, maybe they fly out as well just to do second viewings off camera. But we have had instances where and it's so frustrating for everyone involved and for the house hunters to find that dream property but not be able to put an offer in because they're missing someone integral to the search. So we try and prevent that from happening where possible, but that's something to think about when applying as well.
And I hope we've reassured Tanya Holt. She's asking, we considered retiring in 2007 and had sold our property. Then the crunch came around. We've got our NIE numbers, so I guess this is Spain, bank accounts, solicitors. We are ready to go. We're in our 60s looking for a permanent move. I'd like a property with some land and outbuildings so that I can lose my husband.
I'm with you, Tanya. Good. Sounds good.
Would we be considered? Well, Tanya, yes, we will give out the email address and how to apply at the end of this. But absolutely, you sound tailor-made for the show, so don't hold back. A few people are asking about what happens after the cameras stop rolling, and I know you get this request quite frequently about doing follow-up programs about people who've bought. It's not happened. We do stuff in the magazine. We've done some follow-up episodes in the magazine, but it's not quite as easy to do that as it just commission a series about people who've bought before.
I think we would love to do follow-ups, and with 120 shows a year. There's lots of people that we can call on over recent shows to catch up with. At the minute, Channel 4 love what we're doing, which is 120 A Place in the Suns, and we have our sister show as well, Home or Away. But that's it. So at the minute, we can't convince them to take the sort of catch-ups or the what happened next. But we'd love to make them, and we still, as I said, we've lots of house hunters keeping in touch with us years after they've moved or bought the holiday home. So I know there'll be lots of good feel-good stories to share.
Yeah, we've had 2 webinars actually this month as part of this series. We had one last Saturday with Laura and Ginny Lunn, who'd been on the TV series with her sister. She bought a lovely place on the Costa Tropical. Yeah. And then the week before that was with Jasmine and Sue and Mike Bloomfield, who bought in near Albufeira. And that was fantastic because we got them all back on the webinar, and Sue and Mike were actually in their property in Albufeira, and she kindly showed us around kindly showed us around that what a great property that was. That was a wonderful episode.
Now, if you know, I was going to say write to Channel 4, but if Channel 4 commission it, we'd love to make it. Love to.
And it's certainly been going quite a while. We're currently on new episodes at 4:00 every day.
Yes, we are. So we had a new series that started in early August. And that's running at 4:00. And then I think we've got 10 episodes at 3:00. They're changing our time slot a little bit in the next couple of weeks. But we're very excited because we're going prime time. So from the first Sunday in November, the show will be on 7:00 on Channel 4. So I think there's nothing better on a Sunday evening than get your cup of tea or a glass of wine and we'll be prime time. And we have some wonderful shows going out in prime time. You know, we obviously make a lot of shows every year. They're all good, but I know we've a very interesting, very low budget show coming up that's going to get everyone talking. It's a wow show. So I can't say any more than that. But.
Somebody's asking about low budgets, actually. Andrew Smith says, why do you feature so many low-priced properties? Why don't bigger houses like 500,000 euros plus feature more frequently?
He's right. The majority of the show budgets tend to be lower, but that's because it's affordable and it's accessible for the majority of our viewers. I think if we did 120 shows of 500,000, it would be the show wouldn't connect with people. So we try and have a balance. We have lots of lovely low budgets. There's a £22,000 budget coming up soon.
Wow.
And then we've also got 350,000 ones coming up. So it's trying to, I think the thing about our show is you watch it and think, flip, I could maybe do that. We could do that. We could plan for that. So I think it's important that the show is realistic for more people and not alienating a lot of people.
Yeah, I guess more people have got 100,000 than they've got 500,000. That's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and as well, we try to represent the applications that we're getting in, and the bulk of those tend to be lower budgets. We do obviously, as you said, get some higher budgets in, but the bulk of what we get into the inbox is the lower end of the budget. So we want to obviously represent that and but also find that balance. So we try.
And Tanya Holt's very keen, so she was the one referencing the outbuildings and losing her husband. She said, well, I'm interested in Mohaka. I guess that could be on your agenda, could it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, love Mohaka. It's I've not been, but I feel I know it from watching a few recent episodes. Such a beautiful place. And it's always quite popular. So love Tanya, get the application in. We will look out for it.
And Vivian inquiring about France. Have you plans to go to France anytime soon?
Probably not till the spring, if I'm honest. However, don't quote me on that. But
right.
We've just done some lovely shows in France through July, August. Lovely. Oh my goodness.
Jasmine was out in France, wasn't she? I think I saw. Yeah.
She was, and it was Jean. Yeah. So we did about, I think, 10 French shows, of which lovely, and a big variety of budgets from below 100k up to maybe 250, 300. At the minute, we're trying to follow the sun, really. So we'll go a bit further south. We've got Spain. We are looking for the Caribbean in December. Maybe a little bit more Cyprus as well. So I think potentially, we always make French shows every year because they are stunning houses, stunning locations. Yeah. But probably springtime, I think, when maybe, especially if you're someone like Normandy or Brittany, it warms up a little bit,
Absolutely, yeah. And Lawrence Thomas is an interesting case. They're relocating from Australia to Portugal next year. Do you have plans for Portugal at the moment?
We do. We're filming in Portugal at the moment, actually. We're filming on the Algarve. We don't have any slots in Portugal up until next year, but again, things are changing so much at the moment that that's not to say we won't. From Australia, it might be tricky to do what we call our home visits when we visit the house hunters in their home, which is at the top of the show.
Oh, that'd be a nice job.
Yeah, I'd do that. I'll do it.
Yeah, maybe then if you want to extend the budget, we can, fly over. Who knows? But yeah, that might be the tricky thing is someone who's based in Australia. If they've got a place over in the UK, great, and we could do that there. We can consider them. Yeah. But I think if they are based over in Australia, it might be difficult to do that house hunter home visit at the top of the show.
And the impact of COVID more generally, we've got a few questions in on that. I know you're doing your 1 meter plus thing in your office today. How has it affected the filming of the shows that are going on at the moment? Are there new procedures and protocols in place?
Well,
absolutely, yes.
Lots. Channel 4 is we sort of stopped production in March when obviously the country went into lockdown, and we started filming again in July. And there are very strict protocols. It's a matter of safety for our house hunters, for our team. That's the priority. So Channel 4 worked extensively with us on giving us guidelines that they felt were acceptable to keep everyone safe and secure. And then in turn, Freeform as a company, we have our own protocols on top of that. So everyone from, in the office, we come in the morning, we all have our temperature taken. We have sanitizer, hand gel, we're all in little work bubbles. So we're working in groups of 3 or 4 in different houses or buildings here in where we work in Hertfordshire. And on location, very strict use of masks, social distancing. There's a lot more red tape to go through, but we take it really seriously. It's too important not to. But the good thing is we're able to still make the show, and the feedback from house hunters and shows we've been making since the beginning of July is as positive as it always is. So that is good.
And the house hunters themselves always seem to have such positive stories at the end of it as well. I know from the people that we interact with on the magazine and who we meet at the exhibitions, we get them back to talk about their experience. They're always very complimentary about you guys and your wider team and the work and the effort that goes into compiling everything for them to kind of drop in and look at. But to clear up one point that you do see on social media a fair bit, it's certainly not a holiday that week, is it?
No.
I think. Yeah, well, you can answer that. Yeah.
No, it's not, and that's sometimes people think that it is a bit of a jolly, but it's tough. The house hunters fly out on the Sunday. For the whole week before that, the team have been wrecking houses, locations, getting scripts together, working really hard. And often in the height of summer in Spain, so we're talking 30-35 degrees heat, and it's usually about an 8:30 a.m. start, usually till about 5, and you're on your feet a lot. You really are. You get to spend a good amount of time in each property, but you're on your feet. You're doing walking shots. You're chatting constantly to the presenter, and it's tough. It's a long day. It's a full day. It's not a completely full week. There are a couple of afternoons that the house hunters will take off while the crew do area shots and presenter pieces to the camera and things like that. But it's hard. You're not there to lie on a beach and swim in the pool and whatnot. It's we're running to a pretty tight schedule, and we film Monday to Friday, and by the Friday everything has to be filmed. There's no rolling into the Saturday or we can pick that up on a Sunday. No, it's Monday to Friday is the shoot week. So, you start rolling on that Monday morning and filming till Friday, and then that's a wrap.
I think people do struggle because the show's only an hour long. So how can it take a week, to make it? But there's obviously logistics, there's travel, we have to set up the pieces to camera. And just, we do look after people, I think, very well. The feedback is usually very good. But it is working, and we're a Channel 4 daytime show with a daytime budget. I had one lovely couple who were signed up to do the show, and when he got his flight tickets, it wasn't business class, and he wasn't staying in a 5-star hotel. And I sort of had to explain, well, we have a Channel 4 budget, and you're staying in the hotel that the presenters are staying in and that the crew are staying in, and you're all traveling on the same flight. We don't do business class, we don't do 5-star, and he refused to take part. He said, when I go on holidays, I always go 5-star, and I had to make the point, but you're not going on holiday. You've asked us to help you find your dream home in the sun. So you're actually sort of going to be working on making the show. So unfortunately, he didn't. It never happened. So.
He demurred. I'd say that's very rare, though. Most people are hugely appreciative, aren't they?
I think so, yes. When you see how, we really work hard at getting the houses right, and we change them all the time. So it's not as if we've those 5 houses booked weeks in advance. We so don't. So, yeah, we work hard at ensuring we get the right house for each couple.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, actually. One of the things that I sort of used to feel as a director was, even if by the end of the week we haven't found them that dream home, we're obviously really sad about that. But I always thought I want them to have a great experience nonetheless. So, and we all do, the whole crew and the presenters, everyone wants to ensure that, even if that dream property isn't found at the end of the shoot, they go away with a really memorable experience and they've had a great time. And, we've all had a bit of fun and hopefully they've learned something along the way. So it might be they've learned, actually, they don't want this area, they want somewhere else, or, they've learned that, they can't compromise on that garden, they might have to, up their budget. But I always say, I hope they've had a great time, they've had a memorable experience, they've enjoyed themselves, and they've learned something.
It's positive.
Yeah, and it's positive. So, yeah.
So plenty of questions about the time commitment. So that is flying in on a Sunday and flying back out on a Friday. So that's the time that somebody needs to allocate.
Yeah, in fact, we always ask people to sort of be available from the Saturday to the Saturday, just in case. If you're going to a Greek island, you might have to travel on the Saturday to be there on the Sunday. And equally, maybe travelling back. But it's a week,
Yeah.
And roughly how long in each property? Anne Faye is asking. Obviously longer than they appears on the TV show, is the point she's making.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit longer than that. Usually you film in a property, it can take between sort of 2 to 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours, depends how big the property is. There is a lot that goes on that you don't see on camera, on screen. So yeah, the house hunters do get a good period of time in those properties, and as well as the properties, we do a little thing before each property, which you'll all know from watching the show, where we visit something in the local area to introduce the area of the next property. So, not only do they get to see the house, but they get to experience the area. They get to, especially if it's, somewhere they've not been before, that's really important that they get to see that. And often, even after we've finished in the property, if there's time, we'll drive around the local area so they get a good sense of it. We might have lunch in the local area, so, they get that extended period of time there. So actually, compared to maybe a viewing that you do on your own with an agent, you do get a lot longer in the property. And we think that's so important as well, that they, we're only filming there Monday to Friday, and you might be flying home on the Friday. We want to make sure people have had, enough time and have really seen, as much as they can in that time of the areas and the properties.
Yeah. And they can do second viewings as well. Yeah. So, if halfway through the week they realise, oh, I love one, I need house one, but I need to see it again, right, we'll arrange that, so.
And giving away some of the insight on the filming schedule has prompted Bruce Haynes to ask, if you're there for 5 days, what's with the lack of a costume change?
Well, you see, now we're going to have to give away a secret, aren't we, here? Yeah, so basically, if you apply to be on the show and you're accepted, you're told to wear the same clothes for 4 days. So I know it sounds a bit mad, especially if it's in 30 degrees sunshine. But when you watch the show, it looks like it's taken place over, the viewings all take place in one day, then they sleep on it, then the next day you decide, are you going to buy or not? So we ask people to keep the same outfit for 4 days. So, some people, maybe buy, gentlemen might buy 2 grey shirts as opposed to 1, so that there's an option. The APs, assistant producers, always have in their bags stain remover, because the number of times somebody gets their spaghetti down their top on day 1,
Right.
Get it removed. But so you wear same outfit Monday to Thursday, everybody, including the presenter.
I'm glad you mentioned spaghetti. I got 6 people asking about filming in Italy and whether to apply to be on Italian episodes.
Please do.
Yeah.
We're coming to the end of our Italy block, but we still have a couple of slots available. So if you're looking and you're keen to buy now, then do get in touch.
We've just done the most beautiful show in Tuscany. Oh my goodness!
Oh wow!
sunflowers,
gorgeous
vines. Oh, yeah, Italy looks stunning.
And a nice comment here, well, a number of lovely comments from people, all singing the praises of the TV show. Somebody anonymously has posted, I absolutely love the show. I retired recently and the show has encouraged me to spend my redundancy rather than sit and watch it earn 0.01%. So that's done the trick there. Some more questions about the selection process. I think we've covered that off. Anne-Marie Tremaine asked an interesting question about Spain. She assumes that you need to have all your bank accounts and all that kind of stuff set up in NIE, but that's not the case, is it?
No. Obviously, when you buy in a foreign country, there are certain bits of paperwork and stuff that you need, but people can still come on the show with us, put in an offer, have it accepted, and then whilst the purchase is going through, they can get support. The Placements on website has great advice on what you need to do and how to get an accredited person to help you. So no, there's plenty of time to get all that in order.
Okay. And well, a general answer that I'll give out to a number of people who are asking about, oh, if I don't make the TV show, do you do some property finding services off camera and that sort of thing? I think it's important to point out, so these guys are from Freeform Productions who make the TV show. And then over at the business that I'm involved in, A Place in the Sun, we have the web portal, aplaceinthesun.com. We run the exhibitions, A Place in the Sun Live, and we have the magazine, A Place in the Sun magazine. And there's lots of companies you can meet either at the event or through the pages of the magazine or on the website who can help you buy estate agents and lawyers to do the legal side of it or get residency. But that's all very separate from the making of the TV show. So you either get on the TV show and you get the help or you don't, I'm afraid. That is pretty much it. Somebody asking here, lining up the estate agents at the end for the final call and the negotiation, how tricky is that?
It can be tricky, but what we always try to do is usually by the Thursday of the filming week, you've seen all 5 of the houses. And the director, the assistant producer will usually meet with the house hunters in the evening and sort of have a good chat and say, are you thinking you might make an offer, or what would you, what are you thinking that you're going to do tomorrow in the final chat? And if possible, we try and line things up, and get our ducks in a row a little bit ahead of time, so that the last thing we want is on the Friday morning, everyone's sitting ready, the camera's rolling, the presenters, just found out an offer, they want to put an offer in, so it's got the phone there, calls the agent, and the agent's off for the day.
Yeah.
Or, the owner's gone on holiday today and they're not going to be contactable for another 3 weeks, So we try, if it's possible, to kind of know what's going to happen, if the houses say, no, we really, we definitely want to make an offer, we'll let the agent know that there might be an offer going in the next morning, and can they be around their phone between the sort of times we'll be filming, sort of usually between 9 and 11, just in case. We don't give anything away. We won't say, yeah, they're definitely going to make an offer, because we don't know that, and you can change your mind overnight. It's happened, lots of times. So we just try and get things in place, because it's all real. It's all happening, live, so recorded, but the presenter is there with the phone. They are phoning the agent. That all does happen. So we try our best to prep it as much as we can, so that we're not caught out, and we want the offer to go straight in. We don't want to be hanging around for 3 days for the agent or the owner to call us back. So yeah,
that's the moment, isn't it? There's been some wonderful kind of resolution in that final segment of the show where inevitably Jasmine gets teary and there's hugs all round and all that sort of thing. More questions about where you might be filming. I don't know if Turkey's on your schedule anytime soon. That's from Shanara Roof, who's interested in Turkey.
Not at the minute. However, please, Shanara, get your application in, because obviously, the world we're living in right now, we plan. However, we've also had to change our plans. We will keep filming as much as we can. So I think wouldn't do any harm to get the application in now. Every application is logged. So if we decide in January, let's go Turkey, then we can tap into all the most recent applications. Yeah.
And it could be like that, couldn't it? I guess if you suddenly have a need for a certain destination, then you could have applied on the Monday and get a call on the Wednesday.
Exactly.
Or you might hear nothing for 6 months, and then all of a sudden we're calling out of the blue. Do you still want to go to Turkey? So.
Eileen Kirkpatrick is talking about her limited budget of, I think it was £20,000, Eileen, but you just referenced a show with a similar budget, I think, Siobhan.
I did. You know, there are some countries where the lower budgets are more realistic than others, but we certainly have shows in 2 or 3 countries where we've got very low budgets. So, go for it, get the application in. And also, we want shows that look different. Not everyone wants a 2-bedroom apartment in Torrevieja. I love it if it could be a cave house up in the hills of Granada. You can get that for 30,000, or Bulgaria, so I would welcome applications from people who want different things from their properties.
Yeah, and there's really no harm in applying. And if it's an area we're looking at, and if it's we think it might be feasible, we'll have that research chat with you, as I was mentioning earlier, and we'll do that feasibility check. And that's the whole reason we do that, to ensure that what's being asked for is actually feasible, it's actually doable for the show. So if it's not, we'll know then, and we won't progress with the application. But if it is feasible, then we may well progress with the application. So there's really no harm in applying.
Okay, a question here about awkward buyers. You don't get awkward buyers, do you?
No.
No, sometimes you always expect somebody to put in a cheeky offer. If say their budget's 150,000. Sometimes when house hunters will put in an offer of 110, you're sort of looking going, well, why is that suddenly so low? But no, not awkward. We are so lucky that we work with people who genuinely want to buy their dream home, and the vast majority of everyone, it's great with good relationships, and can't complain.
I'd say there are a couple of do's and don'ts though, definitely, and one, it's for us, we always ask the house hunters if they've seen any properties online, if they've viewed any properties in person, to send us those links to make sure we know what has already been seen. And we have had occasions before where house hunters thought, oh no, I won't send them that because for whatever reason. And then we may well have chosen that property in the lineup, completely oblivious to the fact that the house hunters have seen it already. And I have had an instance where we turn up to a property, Jasmine, Laura, I can't remember which presenter it was, says, so what do you think? This is my next property. And they say, oh, this is a bit embarrassing. I've seen this one. We viewed it, 6 months ago. And and it's the importance of being really honest about, what you have and haven't viewed. And that's for us. We can't show properties that have already, been viewed by the house hunter. So yeah, that can be tricky. So I'd always say, just be really honest with, any links that you've looked at online, you've viewed in person. It's so important that we know about those.
Yeah. Did you disappear for a minute?
I did, yeah.
I did. That's quite a good trick.
Oh, magic.
David Selwood comments that it's remarkable the communal pools that you visit are always empty, but I know it's not always plain sailing. You inevitably get planes flying over and leaf blowers and all sorts of distractions just when you're trying to do a key piece to camera. I guess that's a regular occurrence.
There's a lot that happens that you never see on camera, and often with these properties we could be filming them at sort of 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and the pool tends to be one of the first setups we do. So sometimes they are actually empty. Sometimes the time of year we're there, it just there's not people there.
But also it's quite interesting if the area is busy and then you produce a TV camera. It sometimes can clear it pretty quickly because people don't want to be on national telly in their swimming costume. So we'll go for lunch and say, let us know when you're finished and we'll come back.
That's a good point. I guess you get this question a lot. If I'm successful in applying to be on the TV show, do I get to choose my presenter?
No.
Not.
They're all lovely. How could you pick one above the other?
Of course they're all lovely. Well, Tim Leach definitely agrees that they're all lovely, and he's gone one step further, and he said, I'm guessing the bar list is as follows: Johnny Irwin red wine, Jasmine G&T, Ben, a local beer. Darnie's definitely a cocktail. Jean, red wine. Am I close?
Yeah, you are close. You are close in that. I think Jasmine likes a glass of white wine.
Was Danny in there? Because I think she'd probably be a cocktail.
Danny's cocktail, yes. That's what Tim seems to think.
I think, Tim, you know them. You've studied their activity pretty well. Yeah, that's not far out.
Yeah. And the much commented move from large voluble glasses of wine to orange juice. When did that happen?
Well, I know it's weird. Well, basically, it's a daytime show. The show goes out, at 3 or 4 o'clock, and you're filming the final chat, if that's what you're referring to. The final chat, at 9 o'clock in the morning, usually on a Friday morning. So if everyone's knocking back the Prosecco or Cava, whatever country we're in, it might be a tad early. Although, I'm not arguing, but I think it looks better on camera to have something that looks non-alcoholic. Having said that, once if a couple get their offer accepted, the Prosecco is open off camera, and there's always a little drink for those that aren't driving. There's always a congratulations, and again, those are pictures we get sent to us on a Friday from the team going, look, happy house hunters, So yeah, alcohol is provided off camera when there's a sale.
As appropriate, absolutely. Great. Lydia, do you want to run through a few of the do's and don'ts then, just to summarize for people for making out the application? Let me first of all show how people can apply. So if you head on over to aplaceinthesun.com.
Oh yeah.
Can you see my screen there? Mm-hmm. And under the TV show, we have an apply button here, and there's some details about the TV program there, and there is a form that you can fill in, and there's an email address attached to that. That's it really. And the email address, do you recall the email address offhand at the moment?
So it's househunters@fftv.co.uk, which I think you've just got above your cursor there. Email us at househunters@fftv.co.uk. Oh,
there we go. Absolutely. Email at househunters@fftv.co.uk. So that should get you into the mix, and see how you go. And hopefully next year we will have our exhibitions up and running again at some point, and you guys will be there doing your screen tests. I know that's a fertile hunting ground for you in finding prospective candidates for the TV program.
Yeah, it really is. And for us, it's just that it helps to fast track as well. Obviously, we again can't pick everybody, and only the sort of successful applications will be contacted after that. So, but if you want to come down and do a screen test, why not? There's no harm in doing it. As I say, there's no harm in applying to the show at all. And with the application form as well, we do get people who often have trouble either downloading it or filling it in. Just use the email address. Just send us an email, and just feel free to just write in the body of the text what it is you're looking for. If you're having trouble with the application form, that's absolutely fine, and that email goes to the exact same place as the application form.
Okay, we've had more questions for this webinar than any other. We've had over 50 odd questions through here. I've actually lost the one that I had earlier, but let's finish off with it. I don't recall who sent it in, but thank you, whoever it was, asked the best thing about working on the show and the worst thing about working on the show. So that's putting you on the spot. If one of you wants to take one and one of you the other.
Best. For me, the best thing about working on the show is it's such a happy, feel-good show. We've both worked on a lot of different TV shows, and this one, when a house hunter buys that property and it goes through and there's a happy ending, it's just the best feeling, because as we've said, there's such a process that goes into it before you even get on location. It's from the casting team to the location researchers to then the researchers on location to the director on location to the assistant producer to picking the houses and the presenter. There's such a process, so it's just when we finally get to that end point, which is for us the sale, and that happy ending. It's just brilliant. It's so lovely and happy. And Siobhan, actually, what do you do when there's a sale?
I have a drink. No, I don't have a drink. I have a bell beside my desk, an old-fashioned like last orders bell. So I ding-a-ling my bell when we get a sale, so that everybody in the building knows we've got a sale. But it's lovely because it's such a team effort. You know, everyone that's made contact with those house hunters is happy that day. So yeah, that I totally agree. It's a lovely feel-good show, and we you know, we're working with absolutely lovely people. The worst thing is, I suppose, when we can't make it happen, and sometimes with the best will in the world, we work hard. You know, we have a show, we have what we think are great houses, but maybe the reality isn't quite what the house hunters were hoping for, and we don't get a sale. And I've been on location a few times where, you know, either they haven't, there's no offer going in, or they've realised the area is not for them, and that's a downer, you know. But that's nobody's fault. That it was, you know, we all did our best to get to that stage, but you know, certainly those moments are rare, thankfully.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for your time this afternoon. I know it's a busy period for you with multiple teams out on the road, and the challenges of the logistical challenges of moving people around in different countries, and all the obvious travel difficulties. But it's been great to talk to you both. A number of people saying this is definitely the best webinar so far. I've been on a ton of these webinars, so the only different factor is you two. So it's definitely down to you two, not down to me. Doris Henderson, that was really interesting, super helpful. Thank you very much. Yeah, a load of lovely comments piling in. So thank you, Lydia. Thank you, Siobhan. And huge thanks to everybody out there who's logged in, shown their interest in the TV show. We're going to have to go. It's on in what, an hour? Do you know where the episode is today? Is that putting you on the spot? Can you remember today's episode?
I think we're in the Costa del Sol today with Scarlett, I think.
I don't know. Sorry.
We actually host that on our website also. So let's just take a quick look. We host that over here on this page.
Lots of great information.
We should have today's episode. Oh, there we go. Costa del Sol, 23rd of September with Scarlett, an hour from now. Fantastic. Okay. Thanks again, everyone. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you, Siobhan. Bye for now.
Bye.